Hey man, sometimes you just gotta make enough plays and you might be able to pull off an upset.
You are Locked On SMU, your daily podcast on the SMU Mustangs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's good, everybody? Welcome to this post-game reaction as SMU defeats Miami in what could be the biggest upset of this Saturday in college football, 26-20, the final at Ford Stadium as the Mustangs come out of there with a win on homecoming. They impress in front of a litany of blue-chip recruits, but all in all, what remains is that SMU bounces back from that tough loss to Wake Forest, comes back home and gets a win over the number 10 team in the country. The first time that SMU has defeated a top 10 opponent since the 80s, I believe is what the date was that they kept saying on the broadcast, man. It's just a good day around Pony Nation. So let's go ahead and dig right into some of my thoughts from this game. And, you know, I said it in the teaser. You just make plays and make plays and make plays. And at points in the game, it looks like it was going to slip away. And the common denominator always was somebody just didn't make a play. And usually it was guys not making a play for Kevin Jennings. You think about the TJ Harden drop pass out of the backfield when Kevin makes an excellent read against the pressure on a third down. You think about the missed field goal that went over the crossbar. Like, those are the opportunities that you didn't make that Miami kind of seemed to be making. You know, the Malachi Tony punt return that set it up. Miami deep in SMU territory, but then Brandon Maizano comes back, and I tweeted this out, bookmarked that play, and that kind of was the difference in terms of sending that game to overtime, the fact that SMU held Miami to a field goal. But if you look at all the critical junctures of this game, be it that first and goal situation after the Tony punt return, SMU, as the game waned from about that time on, anytime there was a critical juncture, it was the Mustangs that made the plays. Maizano's hit. Jordan Hudson, every time Kevin Jennings threw him the ball. Jordan Hudson, by the way, we're going to, if you want to talk about stars of the game, Jordan Hudson, hats off to you, sir. Jordan Hudson was outstanding in this game. But Ahmad Moses being at the right place at the right time with the first pick and then undercutting the route for the interception in overtime. Making plays. Terry Webb in the running game. Jeffrey Imbaugh, critical blow-ups of run plays. Terry Webb was excellent against the run. Like, the Mustangs just made more plays. And ultimately, I don't think any of us thought that we would be saying that they made the most plays. And of course, it started out with Kevin Jennings because Kevin was awesome. And here's what I'm going to do in this post-game reaction. I'm not going to use any stats. No stats. The only stat I'm going to use is the one stat that I'm going to use in the next part of this reaction. That's the only stat that I'm going to use. But Kevin Jennings was, first of all, he's a warrior. Banged up, had to come off, walks that ankle injury off. You know that ankle is just in a miserable condition right now. Just bad, man. But he walks off the injury, comes back, leads the team down the field a couple of times after that, by the way. So he was excellent. Jordan Hudson, I mentioned him. TJ Harden in overtime. The defense made plays. How about the defense, man? How about the tackling in the second half? And that's over the course of this year where we had grown accustomed to the defense starting to wear down and their physicality starting to go by the wayside and the tackling start to disappear and dissipate. It got better. They got more physical in the second half. The tackling became even more sure in the second half. The coverage became tighter in the second half. The only thing, I'll tell you this, there are two things that SMU just didn't do well in this game, and that's run the football in the traditional run game and rush the passer. And I'm honestly pretty shocked, and I know I'm all over the place here, but we're going to cover a lot of ground in this short video here. But I was very surprised that SMU won that game and didn't get a heck of a lot of pressure on Carson Beck. Was he sacked once? See, I didn't think that was going to be a recipe for victory, but Carson Beck just did Carson Beck things. And the first interception, obviously not on him. drop pass. Ahmad Moses was in the right place at the right time, and that happened. Second interception, he threw it late, allowed Moses to undercut the route. But getting back to SMU, they just made more plays. You just made more plays. And however they needed to be made, they were made. Tough contested catches, check. Balls thrown accurately, check. Fleeing the pocket to buy just enough time to make those throws, check. A rushing touchdown for Kevin Jennings where he makes something out of a broken play, check. Defensively, getting takeaways. They got 2 takeaways, check. Win the short yardage and win those 3rd and 4th downs, check and check on the defense. Like, this was SMU's most complete game this entire season. And you had to play a complete game. You had to play a complimentary game to be able to knock off a team like this. A team that had more talent than you. A team that probably had more size than you. A team that, even though they were missing C.J. Daniels, one of their best wide receivers, was healthier than you. And you still came out there and played a complete football game. You played a complete football game. And that's the overall takeaway. You played a complete football game, and by virtue of that, you made the plays when they needed to be made. How about the overtime, by the way? Or the last drive to send it into overtime. Last drive to send it in overtime. At the end of that drive, right, not a whole lot spectacular at the end of the drive. But how SMU executed, and I know this isn't making a play, but it kind of is. Sam Keltner was kind of struggling from that right hash for some reason. So what do? You make sure you get it to the second to the left hash for that kick. Guys, that's just executional IQ football. That's just executing at a high level. That's high IQ football, right? And before we get out of this opening segment, you know who we got to give credit to? The man who got paid yesterday, Rhett Lashley. I thought Rhett schemed up an excellent game today. I thought Rhett schemed up a great plan. And I talked about this on Locked On SMU earlier this week. What did we talk about? Louisville walked Miami backwards with getting the ball out quick, out of Miller Moss's hand. Read it, get it to your playmakers, let them make a play. And SMU did exactly that. Exactly that. And then they mixed in some tempo too, got Miami's pass rush tired. The pass rush never went away for the entire game. Kevin Jennings was having to make plays. But when it came to how the offense wanted to operate, it was get it out quick, and then we're going to mix in tempo. Get it out quick, and then we're going to mix in tempo. And Rhett Lashley's game plan offensively was outstanding. Outstanding. He came in with a bad plan, had a rough day last week, rectified it this week after he got his money. So, well done all the way around, from the coaching staff to the offense to the defense and the special teams. It was a complete complimentary win for SMU. And now we're going to pay some bills, but on the other side, one other thing. Not only did they make plays, but SMU was also opportunistic in this game as well. So we'll talk about that on the other side. Keep it here as we react to SMU's 26-20 upset over Miami at home. This episode is brought to you by Mazda's moving the game forward. For those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that do more than put points on the board. They move crowds, move culture, and keep moving the game forward. Hey, this week's moment that moved the game forward, I think, quite frankly, was the interception in the first half from Ahmad Moses. And because SMU really needed a stop, they failed to equalize the game at 7, but they get the interception, and then a play later, you have the touchdown pass from Kevin Jennings to Yamir Knight. When you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. Oh, you know it's the weekend, and it's time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order, these players delivered when it mattered the most. Let's break it down. For SMU, Ahmad Moses delivered in a huge way, got an interception when SMU really needed a turnover, and then also got the interception in overtime to set SMU up for the winning drive. And when the pressure was on and when he was needed, he just came through. No hesitation, no delay. And if you've been watching week after week, you know Ahmad Moses has been bringing it every single week. And just like Ahmad delivered for SMU, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays. With DoorDash Streaks, you can save every Saturday you order. Stack it up all season, and you could save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game days only with DoorDash. Terms apply, and the promo period runs through November the 18th. We're also brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at an even bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team is making that late push. And right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, man, let's continue talking about this win over Miami. Again, the Mustangs take down the Hurricanes 26-20. First time SMU has defeated a top 10 opponent since the 80s? At least first time in my lifetime. Jeez, man, that is a drought. But hey, there's nothing like a win like this to stabilize the fact that SMU is back. SMU is going to be a player. You drop a game against Wake Forest. All right, cool. Hey, look, by the way, you're still one game back of undefeated Georgia Tech and undefeated Virginia in the conference. You still have a game against Louisville. They're a one-loss team in the ACC too. SMU, look, I'm gonna hold to this. SMU is still in the running for the ACC championship game, and they just knocked off a top 10 team in the country. So who knows what could happen to the Mustangs from here on out? We're just gonna have to wait and see. But part of what stood out to me in this game was how opportunistic the Mustangs were. And I told you guys I'm not going to use any stats in this reaction. We'll save those for Monday and Tuesday's episodes. But I'm going to use this one stat here. You remember last week, SMU forced 5 Wake Forest turnovers and scored 0 points off of them. SMU today, forcing 2 Miami turnovers, 13 points off turnovers. The immediate next play, following the interception in the earlier in the game, SMU touchdown in the first half to get on the board and tie the game. And then obviously Moses with the interception in overtime. That is followed up by the game-winning touchdown in walk-off fashion. So they took advantage of their opportunities. And Alex Dono from Locked On Canes and I talked about this earlier in the week, that Miami's going to give you opportunities to beat them. You know, this is a classic, even though it's a very talented team and a very good team too, by the way. This is a classic Mario Cristobal style team. Really good, really physical, and absolutely undisciplined. I mean, okay, I lied. I'll use one more stat. How many damn penalties did Miami have? Let's look this up because this is curious to me. How many penalties did Miami have? 12. 12 for 96 yards. Look, if you're Miami, the only situational stat the Canes won was third down. Miami was 7 of 16 for third down. SMU was 3 of 13. But every other situational stat, Miami was bludgeoned. They lost the penalty. They lost the turnover battle. And those right there, penalties, turnovers, third down. You usually win 2 of 3, you're going to win the game. And SMU did that. And SMU had 8 fewer penalties than Miami. And look, Miami is a penalty-filled team. They are prone to making mistakes. They are prone to giving the football away, whether it's drops or whether it's the quarterback or what have you. I mean, they make mistakes. By the way, talking about situational football, Miami gave SMU a mulligan because when that play was whistled dead, who I can't remember which defender it was, that clocked Kevin Jennings and gave that SMU drive a stimulus package, which ultimately led to them tying the game and sending it to overtime. right? So SMU was always in position, not just to make their own plays, which they did. And that's why I led off this show talking about that. They made their own plays, but they also took better advantage this week of the other team's mistakes, and in a way that they just never did against Wake Forest. And look, maybe the Wake Forest game was one doomed from the beginning. You're coming off the Clemson win. You have a quarterback that's banged up. You have a whole team really that's banged up and got even more banged up in the game against Wake Forest. So maybe that game was just going to happen the way it did, which kind of why it sucked that you dropped that Baylor game, really. I mean, if we're going to be real, because you were the better team for 3.5 quarters in that game, but no need to reminisce on that. The reality of the situation today is that an undisciplined football team gave you opportunities to take advantage of their mistakes, and you did that. Like, that counts for something. That 100% counts, not just for something, really for a lot. Because 13 points off 2 turnovers, every time Miami created a hole for themselves with their own penalties, with the exception of that infuriating 3rd and 15, or was it a 4th down, whatever the hell it was. I think it was a 3rd down. Whatever it was, 3rd and 15, couldn't get off the field. That was one of those plays, by the way, that you thought, okay, this might be over, when SMU surrendered that conversion. But hey, they came back and won the game. But aside from that, every time Miami backed itself up or gave a stimulus package to an SMU drive, they generally took advantage of it. And that's what you have to do to beat teams who, at that point in the season, had been better than you. When you're at a talent discrepancy, you have to take advantage of the opportunities that the other team gives you. And I think for the first time this season, SMU got an A+ in that category. They had not been very good at taking advantage of the other team's opportunities, but they did so today. They absolutely did so today. And they forced them. They forced the opportunities too. They certainly did. So you got to give them credit for that. If there's one area that SMU improved this afternoon/morning, it was the fact that they took advantage of the other team's mistakes. There's a lot of ways that SMU improved. I thought Kevin Jennings played an exquisite game. I thought the playmakers in this game made the most plays for their quarterback, even though there were some that they didn't make. They made the most plays for their quarterback that they had all season long. Rhett Lashley improved week over week from Wake Forest to now in terms of his play calling and his game plan as well. Right. So there was a lot of tangible improvement that you could see that could lead you to believe that this team's getting better. Secondary tackled better. Brandon Maizano is becoming a star. Brandon Maizano is becoming a star. I thought he was excellent. I thought he may have been the best defender on the field. Well, outside of Ahmad Moses. He's in the conversation for best defender on the field in this game. You know, Terry Webb, Jeffrey Imbaugh's in that conversation too. But Maizano is a star in the making for this team. But big takeaway number 2, after the fact that you made the most plays, big takeaway number 2 is the fact that you took advantage of Miami's mistakes. And Miami made a lot of them, and you made them pay. And you won the game. 26-20 in overtime, the final score, as SMU knocks off Miami. All right, we'll see you on Monday for a more extended reaction to this game. But for now, there you go, as the Mustangs are victorious. Locked on SMU, I'm Grayson Singleton. Talk to you guys next week. Take it easy.